This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy!
Thank you for checking out 90for Chill, the podcast. This is where I like to offer up my context and trigger warnings. And this episode is about the Finnish horror comedy based around Santa Claus, or at least the legends, Rare X Sports. With that, you're going to just probably come across a lot of ignorance from two Americans in regards to trying to understand how Europeans can get away with this kind of stuff, being comfortable with it, while, well, this country is not founded by religious zealots, so there you go. But before that, if I haven't offended those on the other side of the ocean, the Atlantic, I mean, let me address those on the Pacific side, where I will review Zero Tolerance, a Thai directed and filmed action feature with a lot of British action stars.
I love you.
That's sweet.
Sweet. Yeah.
Emmy is working on time and cause of death.
Her name's Angel, no last name.
Everyone has a last name.
Not if your father's a ghost.
They took everything he loved.
I'm sorry.
I have a plan. I'll work the case.
And then you do whatever you want.
Now, he'll take them out.
Can I help you, sir? I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and you better give it to me straight. Because if you don't, I'm gonna hunt you down, and I'm gonna kill you.
This is personal.
3 days.
Who are you?
I'm a father.
2 enemies.
Why don't you put your gun down and see if you can beat it out of me?
1 city.
Welcome to Bangkok.
Dustin Nguyen and Scott Adkins. Zero Tolerance.
This is gonna hurt.
So I've just concluded Zero Tolerance from 2015. The main build cast is Dustin Nguyen and Scott Adkins, but a lot of more filled out than you'd expect. Kane Kasugi, son of the legendary Sho Kasuni, has a bit part. I would actually say this might be the most conviction I've ever seen from a Gary Daniels performance. It's got some stuff that, is kind of watchable. Though by the end it's just way too convoluted. And when you immediately have to deal with a credit sequence, which is almost B-roll from the film, that's played twice, and they don't give a lot of credits out. So, and I'd say twice, I mean closer to 2.5 times. You're not going to have a brilliant film. The action is, well, let me get to the plot. It's about 2 former, let's say, Vietnamese, I'd say kids, essentially, who were recruited by the CIA in the 80s, probably closer to the 90s, but I digress, who have a lifetime bond, and the cop who's amongst them is the godfather of Johnny, the secret type who spends his time in Vietnam. This film takes place in Bangkok. So he's the godfather of his daughter. The daughter, Angel, ends up being dead, hence the tagline, "They killed his angel, he'll unleash hell." It's kind of bait and switch on the movie poster, at least stateside, where you have Scott Adkins more prevalent, who is essentially the villain, or so you think. Basically, the cop is just basically trying to cover up the killing spree to find out the answer to this murder. and then you have to put quotations on the murder. So the plot ends up getting really messy, but there's some fine action sequences. But again, the direction, this is a passion project, I believe you'd call it, from a Thai director. I don't even really want to go try to pronounce his name, but Chaos is in the last name, so he had that going for him. So as I say, the action is not too bad, and the story moves as long as we're going through body counts, but then we take a moment to breathe and then try to let the story settle in. It just does not work out, so I'm going to have to go back to my letterbox and dock it a half star, which is sad because, again, Gary Daniels has a cameo, a little more than a cameo. He does a Dion Waiters performance in this. As I say, most conviction is somebody who was involved with Angel, and they try to be very confusing. They drop hints about who could have possibly done it. It all ends up being a red herring and quite a disappointment. It doesn't explain, like, why are they blowing up witnesses then? It's just very silly. I didn't regret watching it, and I'm actually intrigued to track down the Zero Tolerance from 1994 starring Robert Patrick. This is definitely one I'm going to have to say you're better off skipping, and I got to go back to my library of DVDs and just put this in the actual Alex Accessory Shop on Etsy's Trash Feature Review section instead of having it placed in the alphabetized by director section. Welcome to 90ForChill, the podcast. This is your host, Cool Movies Darth is the handle that I will always try to get over. You can follow what I am watching on Letterboxd. The username is CMDarth. The podcasting community affectionately knows me as @CatBustRuss. That is also my Twitter handle. But if you want to have a hands-free experience in your home, ask your Google Nest or Amazon Echo device to play podcast by Russ Stevens, and there you are. And this week, 7 C's from the No on 15 Allcast comes on with a suggestion of rare exports, properly holiday-themed. I mean, we have Snow and Better Off Dead, which was his first suggestion, but that was a little more work on my behalf, but I did purchase a copy, so anybody wants to jump at that, feel free to hit me up. And I'm also looking for a podcast host for at least 2 episodes a month, I should say co-host, just so I get somebody to tell me, don't waste 7 minutes on a bad Scott Adkins movie. But I digress. So we're going to speak about this movie. It's really, honestly, charming. It's got a black comedy feel to it. It's not overly violent. As I say, the worst thing you're going to have to deal with is getting past all the naked elves. And, you know, the lack of women in the feature. So, but otherwise, it's a lot of fun. It's on Tubi. I watched it on Hulu. And is there anything really else worth watching on Hulu right now? I mean, I do have to catch up with Prey and the Hellraiser reboots, but otherwise, you know, I think I'm going to try saving $7 a month, so hit me up so we can at least talk those movies. You can talk about any movie with me, preferably under 100 minutes, but I'll make anything work. Just send your suggestions to russthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. As I say, movie, theme, director, actor, we'll make some fried gold with that. Otherwise, you know, rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast apps, 5 stars preferably. Talk trash about my show on my Twitter, @CatBustRuss. And otherwise, enjoy the show. Thanks for stopping by.
It's the most magical time of the year, when traditions are honored and the youngest among us still believe in the spirit of the season.
We found something else than just plain rocks and dirt. This mountain is like a giant icebox.
For storing what?
Drill deeper. Bear the dynamite. You have a grave to rob.
Minkälaiset sudet tekee? Hyvää joulua.
Isä! Vetti on viety!
We have Santa Claus. Selitä sille, että meillä on täällä pukki myytävänä.
He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. And he doesn't give up. Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale.
Cool.
Creepy Siri voice and
yeah.
All right, so we are back with 90 for Chill, the podcast, and this week my guest is one of the hosts of No on 15, the All Cast, I believe, if I've nailed that down. I listened to it on Apple Podcasts myself, but
nice. No,
so,
thank you, man.
And you suggest you went from Better Off Dead, which I did grab that copy at Barnes and Noble's anyhow. Why the hell not?
Cool.
And decided to go a little more holiday themed with the very interesting Rare Exports.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Well, I mean, it really tells you how the Europeans don't give a damn about vision, what they expose their kids to. Because, I mean, if you get past some of the more violent stuff, and it's pretty brief stuff anyhow. Pickaxe to the head or something. Nothing too gnarly. And then all the elf dong by the end of the movie. I mean, it just reminds me about how they were always saying, not until America came along and said, yeah, we shouldn't be working kids like they're adults. You kind of realize, oh yeah, Europe still has the old ways, because I guess the old ways work. They're just little adults. They're not children.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of appropriate in the Finnish wilderness out by the Russian border, but
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, I'm excited to be on your show. Thank you again for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. I mean, you guys do a great show. I do appreciate Chicago vibe. I mean, I'm down in Champaign myself.
U of I out there.
Yeah. Not for school. I actually was very bitter about them when I got my rejection letter back in '98. No, sadly they were right. Computers were not. I flunked out of computer science and went into professional wrestling. So
awesome.
that's how that turned out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
With that said, shot him a Malort.
Ooh.
To get this going. All right.
A Malort. Oh, nice.
That's how I knew I was part of the Chicago wrestling scene. They finally invited me to.
You're a brave man. Either love it or you hate it.
I think we all recognize that it tastes awful. It's more of like just taking that punch to the mouth and going back at it. So what kind of I mean, obviously it's a Christmas movie. I mean, there's a lot of talk around this time of year, what are and what are not Christmas movies. I'm on the Die Hard is a Christmas movie standpoint myself.
Yeah,
But,
me too.
Yeah.
No, I think it's honestly, I think it's a dope take and a different angle on the whole mythos of Santa Claus.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was trying to do some of the research on that. It's like, yeah, the Scandinavian countries, since it's a Finnish film, they have the Yule goat, but all of the Krampus like elements come from more of a Germanic standpoint. So it's kind of interesting because not till we had the Krampus movie in the States did I think we really appreciated that character.
Yeah, that's true.
And the best thing I know about Scandinavian traditions, and this would be a Dutch tradition, is the Black Pete concept, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah. What you're talking about.
The excuse for blackface in Europe.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean, you definitely get those vibes, especially the more. Well, yeah, I guess the more further along you get into the story of the film, you realize that you can kind of correlate that stuff.
Yeah,
and I think. But like initially, when you watch this for the first time, you're not sure what's happening. I think that's one of the cool parts about it.
Well,
you're not sure, is that really Santa Claus? Is it not?
Well, okay, yeah, I'll give you that. I've seen kind of something less straightforward probably more straightforward in another horror movie that's I think still on Shudder called Deadly Games, from '89. I think the director of that movie, I know they wouldn't show it in the States till, probably turn of the century, because the director said Home Alone ripped off my movie about a demented Santa Claus hunting down a little French genius. So
I remember that.
Yeah. And then I guess Canon had the rights to distribute it otherwise, and they changed it to Hide and Freak as the title.
Oh, okay.
Or I think the original title is 3615 Code Père Noël, because I guess they had like an early version of the internet in France that probably was cheaper than the 900 numbers to talk to Santa.
Oh man, I saw that somewhere the other day. Now you mention it.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually saw the film, but I saw it was streaming somewhere, and I was like,
yeah, I know it's on Shudder. As I say, I'm pretty sure it's still on Shudder. That's I had to did that one earlier this year, with my buddy Gregory Carl, and just poorly timed. Like, oh yeah, I want to do this. Yeah, couldn't you done that a month ago? Like, we're out of the holidays, man.
Oh yeah.
So the story on this one is, and they didn't really try to be too friendly with the names, I guess, in a Western sense, because like in Deadly Games, the main character is Tomas, which is pretty easy to get across. Oh yeah, Thomas. Okay, cool. Tommy. All right, we got it. I can't recall the name of the character, our lead character in this one, but
it's
I mean,
Pietari.
Yeah.
Pietari.
If I can
I'm guessing that means Peter, maybe.
More than likely. I mean, it's another weird thing with Scandinavia. It's like they either have like one definitively English sounding name. I watch a lot of soccer, so when the Dutch go on.
I wonder if that I is silent, because throughout the film it just sounds like you're saying Peter. Like,
yeah,
the I.
That's
so.
What is it? And I guess they had actually been trying to get this project made for almost a decade, honestly, because when you type in rare exports into Letterbox, like I get 2 or 3 movies, like, well, 2 or 3 things come up. Like one is a short film from 2003, and then 2005 they have a short film called the New Safety Instructions, which they hint right at the beginning: no cussing, no swearing.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so yeah, Pitari is pretty much what we're gonna have to go with. So, but he's really not isn't the trigger for the plot. That would be the um an American, well, an England Western entrepreneur who dreamed of bringing Santa Claus back. And little Pitari's family lives just outside the mountain that they believe was used as a tomb to bury Santa.
Yep.
And so Pitari, as a curious child, decides to do all the research he can on Santa to find out the truth. And we find out that Santa is a child abusing demon.
Yes.
And so by by Christmas Eve, the mountain has pretty much been cleared out, and they have Santa on ice in the hangar. And
he's gigantic.
Yes, gigantic, horned.
Yes.
And there's a lot of Santa Claus wandering around, and a lot of kids end up missing, along with radiators, hair dryers.
Yeah, like what's going on?
And all these Santa Claus looking people, and you don't really get it. Okay, then now we're getting the spoiler territory, but you don't really get it until they capture a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Try to hold him hostage because they blame the expedition for all the reindeer dying around, costing them their livelihood.
Yep.
Only to find out that isn't Santa. That is just a helper.
Yeah.
And then all hell breaks loose. But this is a pretty fast-paced movie. Like, you really... Like, there's... Besides for the opening credits, you don't really get a lot of exposition.
No.
You just got the classic parents don't believe the kid.
Yeah.
Until the till the kid turns into John Connor.
Yeah, I mean, he does. That is kind of fascinating because you kind of wonder, where did he get all these books, or has he always been obsessed with Santa like this? To the extent that it almost looks like he has some really old text in his room.
Yeah, I mean, well, the theory would be that, well, they're from the town that trapped Santa in the mountains, so. But
that's true.
When you're pretty much getting everywhere via snowmobile, a library trip seems a little little tricky.
Yeah, anything, man.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're living very rugged.
Yes.
And that's one thing, like, I was watching this with my wife, and the way they spoke to each other, because a lot of the movie does take place in Finnish, it almost sounds indigenous, like their language does, like, because we had watched like a couple of nights before she wanted to watch Apocalypto, and we were, the way they talk in that film, it's a lot of subtitles, and obviously that's like another indigenous language.
Yeah.
And it's like very, very similar in a way. When I was watching this, I was like, just hearing the way they talk to each other, my wife's like, it sounds very indigenous. So,
well, yeah, definitely. Well, so it's weird when you bring up Apocalypto, because that was I think the language they used for that one was Mayan, if I'm not, or definitely a dead one.
Some of it in there was Nawat in there, I think. Some of that.
Oh, well, I mean, we're talking about the guy who, Mel Gibson, who directed a movie in Latin, essentially, before that. So,
yeah.
Which is, well, I guess if nobody really knows the language, say an Apocalyptico or Passion of the Christ, then you can't really be judged for how you actually handle it.
That's true.
So, I mean, because I just think of that in the sense that you think of all the classic bad movies like Troll 2, or in my case, being a big Dario Argento fan. Like, well, primarily Italian films, at least, that wanted to get a Western audience. They'd hired Western actors, and they just let them read the dialogue in their own language, and then they would dub everything for whatever country they're sending it to.
Yeah. You can totally tell, especially back then.
So your movies like I watch my spaghetti westerns dubbed. It's because Clint's not going to speak any. I don't want the idea of a Clint Eastwood in Italian, I guess. So yeah, it does get interesting with that, and I guess I had a coworker whose parents were from China. It's like, but he's like, no, I can't speak Mandarin, but you can speak to your parents in their native language. And and it's like, okay, well, it's a dialect, but I was in hospitality for 6 years, though. I ran into a lot of Indian, and like that's just a whole mess of nobody knows anybody there.
I think they have a lot of different dialects, especially in Asia. Crazy.
You figure in India, though, a country that's smaller than the United States mass wise, but you got 1 billion people there, something would straighten itself out.
Yeah.
But if I think that way, then the U.S. soccer team should still be in the tournament, because we had the largest pool to grab for talent from.
Yeah.
So yep. So I mean, it's all, this movie is all build up. Like I can't really say there's a lot of scare sequences or anything like that. When you compare it to like the Deadly Games movie, it's like, well, this kid's always gonna have to be on the run from Santa Claus. We know he's in the house, and so there's a lot of tenseness throughout. It's really all about anticipation. This movie goes by pretty fast because we are all we really want to see what this Santa Claus surprise is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that, and I mean, it is a little bit of a dark comedy too. The way stuff is handled. So.
Oh yeah, once we start interrogating the Santa helper, the blow dryers, the radiators.
I feel like the kid himself just cracks me up too. The way he just acts almost like a little man, he's not very childish at all, but that's the contradiction in it, because he is a child.
Oh yeah.
And he does childish things, like he does his whole, hockey protective outfit,
right,
running around with a gun on his back, but he's still talking about Santa and eating cookies and stuff like that. So
yeah, but we say running around with a gun on his back. It is a rifle on the kid's back.
Yeah.
There's no Nerf in this movie.
No, definitely.
No. I mean, you get classic lessons in this movie. I mean, primarily, if you can't reach it with a shovel, don't mess with the grave. All the cursed people from King Tut's grave, like.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I've always said, I don't need a grave. I need I wouldn't mind a grave, but I don't need a coffin. Just give me a body bag. I'll stuff it with memorabilia. And when it gets robbed, at least they get a prize. How many times do
it's a time capsule?
Yes. How many times do archaeologists just this is pretty pathetic.
Yeah, that's very true.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not a parent myself, but with that opening credit sequence, I kind of dig the idea of scaring the crap out of your kids to be good.
Yeah.
Like it's not lumps of coal. Well, you can call Santa's bluff on that.
Yeah.
15 wax the switch. Maybe some oil boiling. Yeah.
He wanted his dad to hit him because he
right. There's
up.
that scene where it's like he's just doing his best to prevent Santa from coming back.
Yeah, and that's another funny thing is, like, yeah, it is a parody in a sense when that entrepreneur tells them these are the new rules at the dig site. No bad
Bad
language.
I think pick up your stuff.
Yeah, washing behind your ears.
All that was a big one on there. Yeah,
it's funny, man. And the guy's like, "Are you fucking with me? Are you serious right now? Is this or is this like?"
Right. And I just dig I dig the idea, of course, that this is a capitalist ploy, or you would think so. I don't know why else you would try to capture Santa Claus.
Yeah. There's no.
I mean, I suppose you could, put some other religion involved. If this was made in the States,
yeah,
bunch of jihadists, I suppose.
I don't. Yeah, that's funny. Because it's not so much like a fable, angle on it, because it's not like, oh, we need to prove that Santa's real so people believe in the spirit of Christmas.
Yeah,
it's more of a like, we just want to show people that there's terrible fucking things out there, like this gigantic ass Santa
this one,
horns.
yes, yeah. It's definitely the writer director concept. I was saying, for more of the motivation of the guy, I think it's just more of a rich guy wanting, Richard Branson who never got laid, I suppose. Or maybe that's what he wants. He gets Santa Claus, he can get those wishes. And what do you want for Christmas? 69.
69.
So, but when I think about a horror movie in the ice, though, and like my anticipation, I'm kind of like, are we going to get a little bit of dead snow in this? I suppose if you've seen that one, Nazi zombie, is it?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Sweden, yeah, or Norway. But yeah, no, but like as this movie goes on, it's like once we get to our working up to the climax, it's like, how the hell do all these people know all these things? I know they're kind of in the backwoods, but you have a helicopter pilot. And you have a guy who speaks English, but I mean that's not too uncommon in the rest of the world. It's just kind of like what more or less just putting me to shame as an American. It's like, I don't know how to fly a copter. I can fake my way through a couple languages, but that's
it's almost like one of those things that I guess you have to learn depending on where you are in the world. That would be the way to explain it away. Like, if you watch, they have those reality shows like Life Below Zero, where people live in Alaska or something, and they have to know how to do all these things for themselves. So that would be the only way to explain that away. But,
that's explaining how to, build a fire with reindeer dung, but that doesn't explain, doesn't explain like, that guy could just fly a helicopter.
Well, I mean, it's like, if you think about it, it's like, I have to know how to operate this large machinery because it's going to take a couple hours or maybe a whole day till someone gets here to actually do this for me. So, you have to have a specialist in your town. Like, this guy's got to know how to do this or else he can't live here.
Well, so it's almost the ideal sense of communism in a sense. Everybody has a role, We're not gonna push you around for it.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you're saying.
It's
convenient.
So it is interesting the kid's turn. Like he knows he's smarter than everybody, essentially. I think it's a respect for your parents, though.
Yeah.
But but that was just my next note. But it's more like, looking over the black comedy. So we have one of the elves who falls into a wolf trap.
Yep.
And that's how we discover how the adults are starting to recognize that, oh, this could actually be Santa. And with that, lost track. Okay. Wolf trap, parent. Oh, the dark comedy. So, all right, they find him, and it's basically, okay, we got to lock Pitari up in his room, or try to, because, we're going to have to dispose of the body. And just everybody looking at deadpan, and it's like, yeah, and like, more or less, I'm wondering where they got the pig originally for the bait, like, because there's nothing else up there. And you get little details like Pitari is just doing his best to. I mean, there you go, Home Alone. He is Kevin McAllister in the sense he's trying to defend his home. The father nearly getting his arm cut off by a bear trap. And the chimney.
That was funny.
Yeah,
that was really funny.
But it's played so straight lace though, it doesn't really like. It's one of the it's the kind of comedy where it's like, oh yeah, you have to laugh, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, I would be pissed. I would be pissed if my kid put a bear trap in. So
it's also the situation of being a single parent. So he's like,
oh yeah, I don't even
obviously. The mother's gone away, and either she left or she passed away, and he's going through it. There's a moment there where you can see he's going through it. Like, it's difficult to raise this kid, so you can't be too hard on them.
No. Again, with the they do kind of focus on the tongue-in-cheek comedy, I guess is the best way of putting it, because they could have done a lot more with the guy when the guy finally gets bit over taunting him with gingerbread cookies.
He got his ear bit off.
Yeah, they again, the movie just wants to get to its get this thing concluded, so you don't really get to sell the ear injury, or these are just a tougher stock of men. But speaking of men, there are absolutely no women in this movie.
None.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's true.
Again, it's more or less, I'm not saying it's
there's mention of one, right? But there isn't any.
Well, when we start having the kids disappear and Pitari discovers that his best friend, who's really a twat, it has been kidnapped. They find straw. I guess he finds a straw body, and the sheriff just says, "Oh, no, he's just out chasing girls. We used to do that with pillows." And then, of course, you got the wife's hairdryer. They eventually find.
Right. Exactly.
So again, it's just I guess just the way things are in Europe. I suppose like it's not about political correctness or not. It's just like, do we really need women in this story? And I've written I wrote a B movie comedy. I've been trying, spending last dozen years trying to sell Main Event of the Dead. And it's like I completed a draft and made the mistake of sending it to the Library of Congress, meaning it's copyrighted, meaning nobody will want to touch a copyrighted story.
No, man.
But like I kind of knocked out that first draft so I could get that copyright. And then I look at the story and it's like, oh yeah, so I got some, rowdy sex in the opening, which is more, Clockwork Orange style montage of it. And then, oh yeah, there's no women in this script. Damn. I guess
it's funny. Well, a lot of that depends, man. I feel like I understand inclusion, so it's not so much that. I think in the pace of the story, it makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, that's just entirely true. You just said it makes sense.
Right.
So, and women are smarter than men for the most part, so they're not going to be chasing down Santa Claus.
Exactly.
So, okay. So let's see. I mean, this is, as I say, it's such a fast movie. There's really not, I mean, it's one of those where I rewatch it and then it's like, what do I put on Letterboxd for this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think it's 4 stars. Then the more you talk about it, and I got it playing in my peripheral, it's like, yeah, maybe I gotta push it up. It's I mean, because it just tells its story so well paced, and I mean, again, it's all about I think they just sell you on the concept. It's all about anticipation of what is this Santa going to be.
That's true. A lot of it is that, and then it's just like you said, anticipation and mystery, because you don't exactly know, especially if it's the first time viewing. If you watch this for the first time, you're not going to know. Obviously we're spoiling a lot of it, but
I mean, when that is the problem with this podcast. When it's a 90-minute movie, that's like, oh, this isn't Avatar where we're gonna.
Yeah, no, and it's not like that it's been out for like 12 years already, 13 years or so. And
right.
People, if they're fans of horror, and especially like Christmas horror, I'm sure you've come across this. And it's not like specifically like completely horror either. There's just horror elements in there.
Right.
So
you've got a monster, you got the minions.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna compare it to a horror movie, at least holiday horror, you'd probably compare it to the original Gremlins, if anything.
Yeah, Gremlins, Krampus a little bit maybe.
That's I had
fantastical, but
I hadn't seen Krampus yet because it still took me till I was 36 to finally get over Gremlins. I mean, I was 4 years old when that. Yeah, I just know. I mean,
man.
I was raised, my parents, so I'm the second child in my family. But my older sister has high-end autism, so I mean, she's fine. She functions fine, damn near genius, but no social interactions, meaning she's not really a threat to her parents. So I essentially took the role of the oldest child, and then it wasn't till my little sister and my little brother that my parents start loosening up. It's like my best friend, she was saying with her first child, she eventually said, I would decide I was going to have it, and it'd just be the flapjack. You throw the first one you put on the griddle, you don't expect to be good. You're just making sure the oil's hot. So that was essentially. So when Gremlins came out in '84, like it again inspired the PG-13 rating, along with Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. Thank you, Steven Spielberg. It was just weird because Hardee's, you could buy the kids meals they'd offer, and you get a record and little book that you'd play. The story of Gremlins. So I hear you, man. I grew up in, I'm a Latino, so I grew up in a Latino household. I'm like the 7th one born, so I got a big family. So by the time I'm coming along, I'm getting, hand-me-downs, and my parents probably don't care anymore. Right. They know how you're not going to die.
Yeah. So I must have saw that when it came on cable TV for the first time. And I was probably like 6 or 7 years old. And I loved, there was so much merchandising behind Gremlins. The toys were amazing. The stuff, gizmos and stuff like that. And there was like activity books and all that.
Right. 80s, which is, regardless.
It's hard not to see it.
Yeah. So I was afraid of the dark, though, up until, my early, pretty much, once you get to the point where you got to go out and party late.
I'm not saying party. I mean, playing video games late, whatever, with your friends. Like, no, I was really worried about that stuff. Like, these guys come out at night, and you get some really vicious imagery. So it wasn't until I got to see it at we used to have a theater down in Champaign, like the oldest co-op movie theater, and they ended up going. I think they were going to go out of business before the pandemic, but regardless, me and my ex-girlfriend went to see it, and it's like, okay, yeah, all right. Maybe I just needed my handheld. I mean, conceptually, I love Gremlins, and but again, I wasn't raised letting sneaking out watching horror movies on cable or anything like that. I was very.
I got you.
Yeah, so honestly, like the first horror movie, first thing that got me interested in horror was a documentary on Dario Argento that was on IFC back when it was good, when it was still showing movies, and like, oh, okay, there. I think it was more just the cinema fan in me, like, oh yeah, no, that is very artistic how that head is rolling in every other frame. It's speaking the name of their son. Like, all right, yeah, there's more to this scaring shit.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. It's so much now. Especially now because there's cinephiles and there's so many subgenres of film. Genres. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like it's being of Gen X, it's almost like, yeah, you millennials are right, but you are a little pretentious about
it. Yeah. That's funny.
Like, yeah, we didn't do enough to stop the MAGA movement before I was ever born, but we didn't do anything to encourage it. How do we know that? Well, I don't. You're up in Chicagoland. I'm in downstate. It's like, everybody from downstate, like, I mean, I don't, but that's just because, well, I'm going to be up there at least, try to see 4 or 5 Cubs games a year. Any of the good concerts. It's like, yeah, I know nobody's coming to a 1,000 people venue in Champaign-Urbana, and nobody's going to Peoria since they moved the strip club away from the Civic Center.
Oh man.
I mean, there used to be rock bands that would come through Peoria just for that strip club.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're putting Richard Pryor's memory to shame. Like, we don't have that kind of debauchery. We're not going to have any more heroes come from here.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I've just got the movie on my peripheral. So I was able to see it on Hulu, which kind of makes me wonder, okay, if I could see it on Tubi and the ad placement is just as bad as anything else on Tubi.
Yeah.
I don't know what the point of Hulu is anymore.
Yeah. And then Tubi has so much, like, just a backlog of films that you can't find anywhere else. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Just
if it's not on Tubi, it'll be on Pluto next month. It's like old cable where every other month it's either on TBS or USA, which is which is kind of cool. I mean, but no, I mean, I got a few movies I want to watch off Hulu. Prey, Hellraiser, and I guess Moon Knight is on Hulu, I suppose.
Oh, really?
I didn't know if it was on. I know they advertised on Hulu. I'm stealing my older sister's Disney Plus password. So.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and stealing my parents' DirecTV information so I can go and watch all this stuff. So it's like,
we'll edit that out later.
No, I was talking about stolen cable boxes last. I mean, not stolen cable boxes. Everybody had a friend back in the day or a family member, usually an uncle, who had a cable box that would skip through the pay-per-view channels.
Yeah.
Or take off the
somebody,
protection.
Somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. So last episode I was talking to my older sister about her fondly remembering, a constant loop while we were at my uncle's my grandparents. And of course, there's an uncle who lives with their parents till he's into his mid-30s, who has stolen cable. We're reminiscing. Oh, the constant loop of Ernest Saves Christmas and Ghostbusters 2 that year. And, it's like I'm remembering. I was only 9, so I wasn't devious enough because every other advertisement was for Roadhouse, which is
that's one movie I didn't see till I was way older.
Yeah.
When I was young.
No, I know they made a lot of jokes about it on Mystery Science Theater 3000. But then it's like once I got to see it, and I got to see, Terry Funk is in it, and it's like, oh, all right, this is, never mind John Doe from The X.
Oh, he is in there. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot he's in there.
Oh, all your favorite character actors, and just Dalton being the ultimate badass.
Yeah.
So yeah, this movie is just it's just so I'm in there for the anticipation, and then it's like the one thing we can't avoid spoiling, is obviously how they resolve. Well, we can't spoil the resolution, I suppose. We can save all the details involving dynamite, chainsaws, the parents officially making the naughty list, as they said it, when they were going to, collect their souvenirs from the Santa.
That was crazy. Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, my little son is in, and all the other children are in danger, but we're gonna collect.
We needed something to show that this was real and this really happened.
Yeah. So, but then it really gets. No, did you dig the kid? Like, I don't know. I'm a kid. I grew up in a house where my dad disliked animals, hated cats. So obviously I was eventually like, no, cats are pretty cool. So, my parents eventually, here, stuffed cat. Have at,
stuffed cat?
Yeah, well, no,
okay.
An overblown Beanie Baby.
Oh, okay.
And it's like,
I thought here, you a stuffed animal, like a real stuffed cat.
Right. Yeah. It's not like I haven't considered being ready to do that to my Ava, who's just calmly sleeping over there, but it was so I kind of like, so that's your pet, Russ. Be happy with it. And then damn right I'm gonna be happy with it. Like, so I still have a stuffed cat that I sleep with. It protects the real cats I live with,
Nice.
So I do appreciate little Pitari's has really assigned a personality to a stuffed animal he carries with him.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's like, yeah, I'm not leaving my homie with me. I'm gonna run around everywhere with him. So
right.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome.
So yeah, there's it doesn't, I can't really say it gets really creepy until you get to we're just before the ear scene. It's just like they don't realize that he's alive until the elf smells Pitari, who's snooping on them. It's like those little subtle elements, you're just further building the anticipation. When is the shit going to go down?
Yeah, and it's a very creepy moment there when they say he's been acting weird, and then he's in the room and he kind of stands up. The elf stands up and like slowly stares at them, and you kind of see like their eyes glow. His eyes glow a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's
so it's like, that
yeah,
one is kind of creepy.
Don't necessarily say I can't necessarily say I saw that in the first time, but when they were trying to ransom off the Santa little helper,
yeah,
and they weren't greedy, or at least our primary father wasn't greedy, just wanted their $85,000
that they would have got,
for all the reindeer.
Yeah.
And again, this kind of makes me envy Finland. You got everybody carrying guns and nobody's doing anything stupid with them. Like, the kid's got a gun, the sheriff's got a gun.
Yeah, I mean, especially culturally too, it makes sense because they're hunters, right?
Yeah.
So
I can't say I've had enough venison to say I prefer it over cow, so I guess we're stuck. I mean, I think it's Rollerball that basically says like Chicago only survived the corporate apocalypse because of the food of the meat packing, essentially. Or I think Chicago survived. I think it was Indianapolis that didn't make it.
Oh man.
That's definitely one to check out. Rollerball 1975, James Caan.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah,
definitely, I dig it.
Well, I guess I kind of owe that movie. I guess I'm going to push that movie whenever because my that was my parents' first date.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
yeah,
no James Caan being ultimate macho. I'm not around. So, but yeah, it's just one of those like. Unless you got really specific scenes that really blow you away, I think I'm almost ready to just.
No, I think it isn't one of those because it's not like a comedy per se where you remember those jokes.
No,
in that sense, it's more of a story as a whole. And like you said, it builds,
as I say,
it builds towards something. So
it just feels. Like it's almost like you could, I guess if somebody would remake it, you could probably, I guess the goal would to try doing it is like a one-shot feature, like your Birdman, just because of how quickly this movie flows.
Yeah.
So
that'll be actually, yeah.
Okay, no, don't put that on the universe because American remakes never work out.
No, man, they don't. They don't. I don't think. Well, I mean, think of one.
Oh, I'm sure there's one that I like.
Is there one though?
They don't immediately come to mind though.
I can't think of one, man.
Yeah. I mean, I hear. I've never seen the Ring myself, and I hear a lot of people think that's on par with the original.
I've seen it. It's just different.
Yeah, I mean, like the biggest crime was probably Old Boy. That was one I just avoided seeing because I saw the original.
Up.
Yeah,
yeah. Like you watch. I don't know if you can watch it again after you watch it once. It's like
I've seen it a couple times. I mean, Lord knows we're never going to get a remake of I Saw the Devil.
Oh my God. No, I hope not. That one's a masterpiece, man.
Right. No, I guess everybody would probably say the better remake. The only time the remake worked better than the original would probably be, and I don't agree with it, is the Birdcage and La Cage aux Folles.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, yes, you have Robin Williams, but then once you have Robin Williams, you have no subtlety in your movie. If it's a comedy, give me 1 hour photo,
yeah.
Now, the one thing I just I don't know, I'm not a rugged person, but it doesn't seem too bad in Finland, except it seems like they're all trying to survive on gingerbread throughout the movie.
Yeah. Well, especially where they are, so it seems like they're kind of isolated.
Yes,
and I've heard some people compare moments of this film to feel like The Thing, even though not specifically like scientific wise. I think this the isolation part, it seems like they're at the edge of somewhere, and it would take a while for anything
Right. Nobody's coming to rescue them.
Exactly. So
So
I could see that. And well, I know we said it is more of a like ongoing story where you're, waiting for with anticipation, but
yeah.
There's the one scene that does stick with me is and I'm gonna say spoilers. I don't know.
Right.
You can edit it if you want later, but the scene at the end, man, sticks with me when like he's showing them.
Okay, that's yes. The entire when like that's the beauty of the movie is you're waiting. It's like when people say, "Oh, I can't wait till they say the title of the movie in the movie."
Mm-hmm.
Like these drug lords are a clear and present danger. And you're left wondering, okay, why is this called rare exports?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're gonna basically after the day is done, Santa is no more. All there are left are the elves, and they don't have a purpose without Santa to serve.
Yep.
So
exactly.
The folks up in Finland train the elves of Santa to be Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And yes, that's very out of, say, something you'd expect to see in a Jean-Pierre Jeunet movie like City of Lost Children or even Amelie or pretty much any of his movies except for Alien Resurrection, which I stand by. I think that gets...
no, I'm just kidding.
no, as I say, I stand by. It's a
it's almost, it has a Tim Burton-esque quality to it in a way too, where that assembly line, moment that it's kind of synonymous with his movies,
right? Yeah, just basically they put a little fake doll in the elves' lap, and they show them how to act like a small Santa.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, the rare exports is the fact that now they're just going to sell these for $85,000 a pop.
You'll get a real Santa from an immortal being from Finland.
Yes, from the original land of Santa.
There you go.
Which really brings us, I guess, to the biggest point. So the movie ends with the slave trade.
Yes. I said to my wife after watching, I was like, yo, so they said they got out of the hunting game and got into human trafficking, essentially. So, which is crazy.
And I suppose it's not as cruel as that sounds. Like, well, these guys didn't have a purpose. We've provided them with a purpose.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we obviously know because, as again, it's like, it makes you wonder if they really have ratings boards in countries. Obviously they do, because you have the infamous British video nasties list.
Yeah.
But British people are pretty shameful people. I say that as a guy who's got the English soccer logo on my tattooed on my body. I mean, everything John Oliver says about them is true. I think with their stiff upper lip attitude, and it just passed throughout the West, probably got worse with America since we were found by Puritans. So it's like but I don't know, it's like when you have that, it's before the assembly line, they're cleaning off all the elves. And of course that's where I brought up right at the beginning of the episode, elf dong.
Yes, it's very
I mean, but realistically, is it us just making a big deal about it as a shameful culture? Like, I was a high school wrestler. Like, there were those weird weigh-ins where and now that I think about creeps like Jim Jordan.
Oh man.
No, did we really have to be naked the entire way in?
Oh man.
of course, maybe I'm more focused on making sure I make weight. So I guess I'm not. I'm just saying you learn it like, nah, this is just what the culture is.
Yeah, no, it is. I think, especially in cinema, I feel like it's slowly, with time, hasn't been as scrutinized as it used to be. Like it was so taboo before.
Oh yeah, I've had the entire IFC documentary on DVD, indie sex, going all the way from the good old days to the Hays Code, and then trying to fix everything afterward. And yeah, it really comes back to South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. Just remember what the MPAA says. It's okay to have graphic violence as long as you don't say any naughty words.
Yeah, I mean that you could totally see they did that in Sausage Party if you watch it. So.
Oh no, I haven't gotten around to that one yet.
Oh my god!
Oh no, I sadly saw. So I went up to Northwestern back in February for the annual Bee Fest. It's a
so
20
nice in Evanston, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's like my hometown except bigger and nicer. Like yeah, I thought I grew up in a prudish area. Like no, but it's not like I really got to see the town too much because it's basically the film festival starts at one of the buildings on the campus. At 6 midnight they lock the doors, you're locked in. And it'll resolve at 6 p.m. the next day. And I did my best. Like I basically said, no, I'm gonna have to skip Hercules in New York. I got to get sleep at some point. But this all came after the animated movie called Food Fight, which I will stand by is the worst movie I have ever seen.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I had a friend of mine, he's been a guest on the pod. He was telling me, oh, you shouldn't be that harsh. You do realize like that movie's animation files got all stolen at one point.
Oh my god.
No, it does not justify PlayStation 2 animation.
Yeah, it looks really bad.
Oh no, it's bloody awful. Never mind the script, all the puns, and I think this is might just before, like this might have been the movie that made Charlie Sheen snap.
Oh my goodness. Man.
Yeah, he's the lead character in it, voice in it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
wow.
Yeah. Like I go up to the Fan Expo. It used to be Wizard World every basically somebody's got to babysit my older sister.
Oh man.
My parents like, we're not in a Doctor Who. And it's like, I'm not in the Doctor Who. Yeah, but there's other stuff for you to do there.
Yeah.
Oh, here's hoping the poetic critic doesn't listen to this episode. I don't think she listens to many. Like again, she's a genius, smartest mind of cinema I know, but
oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah, so yeah, so now they're driving the elf to the rendezvous point, and just that's where it starts really getting creepy because the parents are just basically like, yeah, we know he wants to get the kid. But,
yeah. And he after that they let him out, right? When he says he wants to see the merchandise.
Oh, they don't. I mean, they bring the cage. They bring the cage down. That's where I noticed the eyes light up.
Yeah,
and that's when that's not Santa Claus. That's his helper. Honestly, though, pretty low stakes. Like you're not supposed to care about anybody who actually gets killed in this movie.
No, that's true.
Like, the moment they, no. Okay, put your guns down. Watch your language. What the smack are you talking about? It's the guy who's telling him, behave, is the guy who gets the pickaxe to his skull.
Yeah, and it just happens really fast too. So
right.
Like, whoa.
I was to say that again reminds me more of like a Gremlins, because if you've ever read about what Christopher Columbus wanted Gremlins to be,
yeah,
there's a movie on Shudder called The Sadness. I did a podcast again with Gregory Carl about that, but it's like basically the rage virus, except you know what you're doing. So, and you have no inhibition. So there's a lot of rape going around and everything. It's like, no, this is a remake of Gremlins. Gremlins couldn't rape anything because of how they reproduce. They'd have to get wet. So they didn't have a reason for genitalia. Which brings you back to all the way back to, like the slave trade portion of it. Like, oh, these elves don't have a purpose now since Santa's gone. It's like, I don't know. If you got a willy, I think you might find a place to purpose that. So
yeah, that's true, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's part of that is kind of interesting because if they know what they're supposed to do for Santa, is that they're like just drones. In that sense?
That's
like they're just getting commands from Santa and they don't know anything else because they just follow the kids, right? When
they're
the helicopter takes them over and
right.
The reindeer
So they're either drones or they're Nazis just following orders. I mean, or they're just, the sequel potential. That's something Americans can work on. Totally screw up. Like,
oh, yeah. I don't know if you could, though. What would you do?
Well, all I can think of is,
aside from them going crazy at a
right.
mall, like,
you got a movie out of that. I mean, you don't have a franchise, but
yeah, you can get one. Yeah.
So they drag the cage out. So that's when the Pitari gets out of the car. But
when he goes and looks in the hangar.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like that is I think might be the best moment of the movie. Though, is where the Pitari just takes total command of the situation.
Yeah.
But you do have that little funny what is it? Foreshadowing bit, the advent calendar, which he staples shut on the 24th, and then the hangar they arrive at is 24.
Yep. That's exactly how he's looking at it too.
Yeah.
That's the kid part, where he's like, wow, it's just like my advent calendar.
Yeah, and then he leaves his stuffed animal right in front of it. And it's like almost the concept of, now that I'm a man, I no longer need childish things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he's hanging on to the net, like
the
helicopter pulls him up, and they're.
Oh, and then I was almost honestly like it got me emotionally. It's like as he's saying just I'm gonna have to get into the pin. I can't pick you back up. I'm not coming back up. He accepted death as a 9-year-old.
Yeah, no, my wife was like, oh, and that part when he's like, yeah, tell my dad I did something good.
Yeah.
It's like it is a touching moment.
Right.
Yeah, he does have a lot of naked elves coming at him, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but at least in the action sequence, you don't really think you're not really.
Yeah, you're not focusing on that.
Yeah. I guess as an American remake, you could place this in the hood.
You think so?
Oh, I mean, the far more horrific. I mean, bunch of old white people.
Yeah. They'll be like, what are you doing here, man? You lost?
Yeah. Oh, no. Then you could have violent action sequences, but you could still keep the same tone eventually.
Yeah. No, that's what you're saying.
I mean, if I learned anything from the Leprechaun franchise, is that you can always take it to the hood.
Or space.
Well, every good horror franchise ends up in space at some point.
Yeah.
Hellraiser 4, I think, ended up in space. Like the space station, like a space station was the entire box situation. Again, a reason I'm not canceling Hulu yet is I will get around to watching Hellraiser reboot. I definitely need to watch Prey.
Yeah, Prey's really good.
Yeah. And of course Jason X. I love unabashedly just because
I do too. I saw it at the theater, man.
Oh, I didn't get that. It's like
I got to see the last two Jasons at the theater. I didn't see the remake at the theater, but I saw Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X. At the
theater. So you didn't see Freddy versus Jason in the theater?
I did. I saw it at the theater too, but I kind of don't. That's more. I feel like that's more of its like multiverse type thing,
right?
Where
it's one of those you just hate the fact they couldn't all right, you open this box now. Obviously, the next thing to do is Ash versus Jason versus Freddy. In which I know everything you want to see in the movies has actually been done in the comics.
Yeah.
At some point.
I'd like to see Ash versus the Marvel Zombies. That'd be
I didn't even think about that one.
That comic was nice, man. So that'd be cool.
Yeah,
even animated.
Yeah, no. Yeah. It's not like you can't hire. It's not like Bruce Campbell's doing that much stuff. I shouldn't say that. I mean, he did. I did recently watch Black Friday with.
I saw that too.
Yeah,
last year,
which is all right. I mean, like it could have until it just takes a while to get going, and then it's
we need more Thanksgiving horror. There's not enough of it.
I think there's another I was listening to it's an episode that's just as I'm driving home today. It's an episode that's just totally going to go off the rails from Not a Strong Start.
Oh yeah, man.
They're doing one with other holiday movies, and they just pick the first day they pick up is National Ninja Day. All right, make a movie about it. Okay, 4 ninjas get sent back in time.
Oh man.
Or a vampire ninja. So you just said Blade and you just said Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. So
oh man, I hate that movie.
I don't know.
Okay, hate's a strong word. I just feel like that's a whole nother discussion. I want
no, it would qualify as a podcast. Save that stuff. I just I remember seeing it, and some of the things in that movie are just so bad, but more or less from a filmmaking standpoint, not necessarily trashing on the franchise.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I made a spur purchase. Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze on iTunes for $5. Why not? I know it's nowhere as good as the original, but
I think I have all of them on Blu-ray. I just
yeah, I'm doing my best.
I never get to that third one.
You see, I haven't watched the remake. I mean, I haven't watched the. I mean to get around to the animated one. I have not watched any of the Michael Bay produced ones yet.
Yeah, Michael Bay.
Yeah, it's
a whole nother animal. I'm sorry, not animal. That's a whole nother topic to tackle.
Well, fortunately, none of his movies qualify for this podcast, which is probably the biggest problem. Like, how really we're gonna have 2.5 hours of this of Bad Boys?
Oh man,
they're not meant for that.
Yeah,
I know some people who are saying, "Oh, John Wick 3 was just long and boring," and it's like, no, as long as it keeps expanding this world, they are all awesome. Never mind, he gets to fight a new, that guy in every movie, Mike DeCasco. Mark Dacascos in 3,
Yeah.
the Ruby Rose in Common in 2,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you watch the Bloodsport sequels, you know who Daniel Bernhardt is.
Oh my goodness. There's sequels. There is sequels. You're right. They're like straight to video.
Right. Jonathan Rhys Davies, the guy who plays Gimli.
Yeah.
Is in the third one, the Dark Kumite. I'll give the second one credit.
I always remember him from the Mortal Kombat TV show.
Oh, I never watched the.
Yeah, that's where the first time I saw Daniel Bernhardt and anything was.
Okay, dang, I'm missing out because I knew some WCW guys made some cameos. Or Wrath was at one point. I think they called him Wrath, like Brian Clark from Chronic, the original Atom Bomb.
Yeah, he played a Kiro, I think, in that show.
Or
Zero.
Right. Well, like the 2021 remake, he wasn't in the game. Why are we? I don't think the 2021 remake was bad. It's just like
it's just a bad example of. It's what happens when you put really great martial artists in a movie and they can't act.
Right. But thinking back to Bloodsport and Bloodsport 2, those both had Ogre.
Was he in both of them?
Yeah, Bloodsport, the first Bloodsport and Bloodsport 2, yeah.
I know he was in the first Bloodsport, but
right, yeah. So Ray Jack, he's the only character that comes back for the second movie.
Ray Jackson.
And Pat Morita is like in the second and third movie, Bloodsport.
Shut up, man.
Yeah.
Oh man. Donald Gibb, that's his name, man.
Yes,
that's Ogre.
I'm on IMDb and it's like, and your Donald Gibb gets second billing according to IMDb instead of Bolo Young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I'm wrong there.
Yeah. But that does kind of bring me up. Like, I'm just curious. No on 15, so I haven't gone back to episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
But I know no on 15. That's from Revenge of the Nerds 2, correct?
Yes.
You
win. Deep cuts, man. It's definitely for nerds. So
okay,
that's where the idea came from.
All right. That's what to say, because that was like, again, my parents kind of put me responsible. Don't let your little brother watch this stuff. No, I can't let you watch Revenge of the Nerds. Oh, Revenge of the Nerds 2 is PG-13? Have at it. So,
yeah, man.
All right, so let's see. Little Pietari's making his last stand, and this is like, if my dad would have like watched the movie multiple times, this is where he makes the sick joke. Like, they forgot to turn off the electrified fence. Director's cut, Pietari. Like the first time I ever really caught him doing that was like rewatching War Games, and as God. Everybody's rushing into NORAD, it's like, where are the guards? Like, show me your pass. Ali Sheedy and Matthew Broderick should have been shot dead.
The suspension of disbelief,
right?
Yeah.
So now I see all these slow motion elves running. I was about to say Winnie the Poohing it, but you need a T-shirt for that.
Winnie the Poohing it.
Yeah, it's almost like some of the slow motion. It's like, oh gosh, let's hope Zack Snyder never sees this movie.
Oh, he might have saw this and got ideas, man.
I haven't watched the Snyder cut yet, so.
Oh man,
I mean,
it's definitely better. I'll give it that. It is better.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the Whedon cuts, for somebody who liked Batman v Superman, it's like, it's passable. I mean, it totally totally neutered everything that was done in the first two movies. But
Yeah, even that one, I think the director's cut's better.
yeah, well, no, Batman v Superman, you have to watch the 3 hour.
Yeah,
the 3 hour
that
shot.
one-
It's like I didn't
a lot
mind
better.
it when I saw it in theaters, but then it's like, but I'm not
Needs
supposed to
more
be
time.
promoting
Long movies.
Yes. The idea is like, come on, who really has the time to put a 2 hour movie in? Like, you got things to do. And you can't go and binge watch a show because you're going to end up losing more time because you're not going to stop watching.
Yeah.
Just pick a 90-minute movie and all's right. So, but yeah, I think we're pretty much just trying to come up with new things to seem cool in a podcast. So, I mean, you know, unless we really want to look closely at elf dongs and compare, like, well, that's a waste of a drone. Like,
no, yeah, I think
we
that I don't know the significance of that or what the thinking was behind that, other than keeping it a guessing game for the viewer of, you know, who they were up until the, you know, like at the end, you know, obviously it makes sense, but
yeah,
like there was at one point where my wife said, were these elves regular people? And I think that's just part of, like, because one of the elves had a jacket that belonged to one of the workers at the dig site. So you can get that kind of thought process, but
I mean, I don't know. There's more to be done with so it's not good for sequels, but there's more to be done with the prequels. Like,
yeah,
you got all this lore. It's like,
yeah, that could definitely.
How do you become an evil elf?
Yeah. Like what?
Like
what actually happened on a Christmas night when he was free?
Yeah, it's like
you know, or you could definitely do the film where he gets trapped.
Right.
So
if somebody trying to outrun. Well, I mean, this is probably the closest movie that really compares Satan to Santa.
Yeah. Definitely.
Let's bring that up because my sister showed me this episode of Wellington Paranormal.
That show's funny, man.
Yeah, the mall, they get called in to take care of a mall Santa who's scaring children. Oh, you're dyslexic, so you accidentally dialed Satan instead of Santa. So yeah, I don't know, seeing one of those elves shaking the kid, I don't know if they're ready.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think they're ready. I don't think kids will ever be ready for that.
I mean, I guess sequel wise, you would have to go and investigate Black Pete, which definitely would not fly.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless Black Pete is a pissed off black person who's just going after everybody who's gone in. I was just trying to earn a living. You guys are using it as an excuse to be racist.
Yeah, that'd be a really tough sell, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, if you don't go total grindhouse with it, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, the best movie ideas are not about the money. I think is.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Oh man, they're sending a white guy to. Now I see the tag on it. They're sending him to Zanzibar. Like, I don't know. I've seen enough movies about missionaries getting screwed up.
Thomas Islands. Yeah, they all have different locations. There's another one.
I didn't. Oh, and yeah, we're just gonna let the guy who flew the helicopter. He obviously knows how to fly a cargo plane as well.
He's just a pilot, man. He's, you know.
Well, I go back to Die Hard 4. John McClane didn't say he could fly a plane. Say He learned how to fly a helicopter. he had a motive to fly the helicopter to try getting
I have a couple hours. Yeah, that's always the excuse in the movies.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. Of course, obviously you have No on 15, the all cast, available on all major podcast platforms. Anything else you'd like to plug?
Yeah, man. Again, thanks for having me on, and we have a couple more episodes coming out this season. We have probably like 3 more. We have our best of 2022, our Christmas special, and our cold weather season finale that we do every season. So,
okay,
all that stuff should be coming out, and look forward to season 4 next year, man.
All right, very cool. And where can they follow you on Twitter?
You can follow me at the Real 7 Cs. You can also follow our podcast at the No 15 Allcast. And I'm the host. So
all right. And are we having any ambitions on getting ready for the fall of Twitter? Have you come up with your Mastodon or your Hive account yet?
They're all the same. Yeah, we have a Hive. It's at the No 15 Allcast. We have Mastodon, the same thing.
All right.
TikTok, pretty much anywhere, man.
Okay, cool. So you're like, I was like, do I really need to create a Hive? It's like I don't know how much I want to, bet on what's going to, and probably nothing. Elon Musk will I think Elon Musk will probably give up on it.
It's a lot of work, man. Just to work in, it's all about infrastructure. So really, I'm sure it's getting expensive, and at some point he's going to try to sell it off to someone else.
Right. So of course you can follow the podcast on all your favorite podcast apps. 90ForChill. You can follow me on Twitter at CatBusRuss is where I'd like you to give me all your complaints. Otherwise, nothing but 5-star reviews on your favorite podcast apps, preferably. I do reciprocate. And as always, thanks Stacia Hardin for being my inspiration and keeping this show going on, or at least me trying to do something to make the dead proud. And
awesome.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, and I can't wait for the season 4 to come up.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Can I hear a wahoo?